It hits again. Kevy, he's done it one more time.
The Chaos Storm! Claire jumps in with the Grand Slam! But in a three-man Moonfall, it's just lights out for Direwolves, just like that.
The showstopper. Look at the backline. It's getting melted.
Something right now, Sonic Wave is there, it's getting lower and lower. Oh! They've stolen it! Mammoth have got the Baron! It's gonna fall on down, it's just too much damage! Rest in peace!
Good afternoon, everyone. It's day number 2 of the LCO, and it has already popped off with a couple of bangers yesterday. But look, before we jump on into today, I just want to remind everyone that it's already grand final day, in which that it is a rematch of the champions from last year. So we get to see a couple of big games. But before we do, let's have a look back at what happened yesterday.
The burger flip teleports coming in. This is a hook angle.
It's a 4v5 about a jungler. Appy just comes in and explodes onto the map. Mayfart in trouble, gonna fall on down. 3 kills as quick as they come. Space check isn't as easy as said. There's Vexpress jumping in aggressively, hits the ultimate, doesn't even go off. Nada looks for the pick target. Dajong has found Gudo in his sights, jumps in, flashes out, reduces Sonic Wave. And there's the kick, spoon-fed Thomas Shen. How do you like them eggs? There's an 80 carry, he's gone, there's a double, and that is an ace, potentially. Forced to burn his ultimate very early on. Deadly Flourish goes out, 5 Pepper immunes up the stage, no solar flare today. Out goes the Deadly! Oh, it's a Deadly Moonlight Vigil, he finds the kill, now Tapoon goes in 1v4, knocking on the front door by the wall, but survives because he is an art in Mega, too much health! Maybe the scoreboard would represent that, but...
Oh my god, bro.
Kanga has certainly shown that I don't need to really worry about that too much. Only is once again trying to do everything on his own, but his team is just capitulating around, and it's a double kill here for Balkan.
And look, Skimmy was asking the question, how do you like them eggs? Usually sunny side up. And fortunately, I have him here to cook them up as well. So let's bring the boys in and have a quick chat. Skimmy, oh, you're looking beautiful there in your plain. Is it a pink
What
tea?
can I say? No, so what I've actually learned, okay, so I've actually tried to refine my palette of colors. It's no longer blue, green, white, and red. You know, this is salmon. Okay, so
Sorry.
you're going to get your omega-3s one way or another. I'm supplementing your eyes with some beauty.
I do love salmon with my eggs. I did have sushi before
True.
broadcast too. So I already have my fish feeling today. So look, you can keep the shirt on for now. Rusty, how are you feeling?
I feel like my shirt, which was swapped with 3 minutes left, is mighty angelic, Mac, wouldn't you say? This is some brightness. Touched by an angel speck over here, man. Ready to go.
Yeah, just keeping it, nice and bright, keeping it, nice and light and happy going into day 2. But look, let's have a quick recap of the standings after what happened yesterday. For the first day on LCO, of course, table currently just split directly in half. 4 teams with dubs, that's Direwolves, Peace, Pensinet, and the Chiefs. And then 4 teams with 1 L, which is, of course, Gravitas, Mammoth, Order, and Kanga. So that's obviously going to look a whole bit different after today's matchups, after the weeks start to play out and things are going to shuffle around everywhere. So I guess there's been no real surprises from yesterday, but going into today, I feel like we're going to have a few very, very interesting things happen because, look, we've got, I think, Pensinet and Peace going head-to-head to rematch for that grand final later on this afternoon, or evening rather, because I think that's over at 9 PM, Skimmy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm personally once again looking at those last 2 matchups between Kanga Direwolves and PGG and Peace to really be the barn burner, the ones to get excited for, to try and figure out, really how strong these teams are. I mean, if we look at the likes of Gravitas and Mammoth, especially with Mammoth anyway, what they sort of showcased us yesterday, I like the idea that it went for a very easy to execute composition, right? You've got the J4, you've got the Galio, you're going in, you find an ultimate, you're going to collapse and kill that target.
Yeah.
I suppose the one nitpick was Akali went for this lane-dominant build with the TP Ignite, got left in an island, couldn't play the game, and Tien just had a happy day. Gravitas as well, like, I was really impressed also with Dejong playing the Vex, nearly got the solo kill, just slightly miscalculated at one, but I just love it when new players come in and they don't seem to be intimidated by the opposition's names or the sort of the titles being swung around and say, look, I'm here to show what I can do.
Yeah.
Obviously, the result went against him, and Thomas Shen nearly had a 400 years of experience, 20k gold deficit Philios performance. But look, I mean, these are teams that I'm really excited to see if they can cause any upsets.
They just come in fresh, do their own thing. And Rusty, I'm looking at that game at 8 p.m. We got Kanga and Direwolves going head-to-head before that grand final rematch. I feel like that's going to be huge as well because both these teams played relatively well yesterday.
Yeah, Direwolves, I want to say, surprised most people with how clean they looked, right? Like, they genuinely played a good game of League of Legends, almost from beginning to end, and almost showing no weaknesses, right, in their victory against Gravitas. So they looked super clean, and Kanga, I think in stark contrast to that, Mac, they showed only moments of real good play amidst a really rough early game, and I think they'll be super hungry to prove their actual worth come this game today.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, at 7 p.m., I believe, Chiefs and Mammoth are going to be going head-to-head. So that is probably going to be a one side of the fair after what we saw Chiefs pull out of the bag yesterday. So that may be a contender for one of the shortest games of the split already if Mammoth haven't got their things together. I guess we'll see what their lineup's going to be going into that game. But of course, the first match of the day was going to be Grav and Order as well. So I feel like that should be going the way of Order. Gravitas, though, you did mention that they looked relatively good yesterday, just playing their own game. So there could be a chance they could be in with a shot, Rusty.
Yeah, I think it was a comment from Mystic, the coach of Gravitas. It was the nerves are out of the way, ready to cause some upsets today. So I like that. And I will say that to that point, I definitely, looking at Gravitas, there were some nerves, Mac, but there was also some confidence like Skimmy highlighted. I think those nerves were the biggest downfall they had, however. Hopefully they go away and they're back to peak performance.
Yeah, hopefully they'll sort that one out. Now, something that you've sorted out for us as well, Rusty, are these key picks. And it's some champs that we are seeing a lot of, but also some champs that we're not seeing a lot of here, but seeing a lot of overseas.
Yeah, so there's a lot to this, right? The first champion on the list is Caitlyn. Caitlyn's actually representative of a lot of different champions, and the reason she's on there is because she is 100% pick ban rate so far in the LCO. She joins Akali, Corki, Thresh, and Aphelios that are all sitting at 100% so far. Yeah, it's only been 4 games, right? There hasn't been a crazy sample size, but if we compare this to the rest of the world and competitive League of Legends in a more grand scope, Caitlyn's probably going to stay very high on that percentage list, along with the Aphelios, along with the Corki, along with the Thresh, probably if Aphelios is as well, and Akali's that one that might drop off come next week when the patch changes, perhaps nerf a little bit of that disgusting chem tank build. So Caitlyn definitely high on that list, and I don't know about you, Skimmy, but I feel like lethal tempo is one of the most oppressive things that is bringing Caitlyn to the forefront, along with all of those karmas that are running around just causing havoc.
Yeah, for sure. I think you just sort of have to pick your poison, right? Which one would you let go through? And as we've seen so far, it has been the Karma that's been let through as a result instead. Going to be an interesting time, though, because we have seen a big emphasis still once again on those engaged supports. So you're really quite keen to then punish with the likes of an easy execute of a Caitlyn Trap or a Jinx Chomper or an Aphelios just a one-shot with their own Gravitum or whatever it might be. So I don't see anything too surprising in that regard. As we've already seen, right, big emphasis on blind picking as Greg as top. Would love to see some Graves as well to punish the fact that that top lane right now kind of Bruce is being shoved to the side and just damage is being introduced in that role instead. But Victor and TF seem to be the big ones, right? Any champion that offers you any form of global mobility. Given the fact that TP has been nerfed, yes, hasn't really affected the mid laners too much. They're kind of just chilling in that regard. You give them an extra layer to that, and those map movements, which made it so scary in the bot lane, come back into the fold of things again.
It's super weird right now, though, with like the fact that Twisted Fate is such a low priority when Corki is still being picked so avidly in mid lane, right? Like, I understand not wanting to pick TF into something like an Akali that can kind of pressure you, but even then, like, Twisted Fate tends to have a good laning phase against Corki, against Victor, and against Akali because he just pushes early. And then he uses the fact that he has push to affect the side lane. Those mages want to scale up, right? They're 1300 gold minimum, 100 CS in Victor's case. For Corki, it's probably level 7 and a lost chapter, which you don't even build first, from being able to constantly clear the waves and be safe. That's so much time for a TF to influence the map. And to me, that's a sign that teams are just not being proactive enough or successful in their proactivity through those parts of the game to make TF worthwhile, because it's still a free pick right now with the other champion.
I think we have seen this also happen in the past as well, right? Where teams are a little bit reluctant to try and draft any kind of early game agency because they seem to feel that like winning lane doesn't necessarily win the game. A lot of times teams default to late game scaling picks and saying, we're not so much relying on making a better play, we're more so waiting for the enemy to make a bad play and capitalize and punish on that. So a lot of these champions which give you the agency to try and make that first move, I'd like to see a bit more.
Well, we'll see what they bring into day 2 here of the LCO. Something else that we brought into day 2 of the LCO is from the fans. So we have a bunch of op.gg reviews, and if you guys want your reviews up on the stream, make sure to send them in over at LCO. I believe there was a post earlier asking them, so just reply there or just at LCO. But I'd also like to see how you're watching, if you're still doing that as well. I do believe that we have some of these OPGGs ready to have a quick look at as well. Because there was a lot of attention already on that post.
Yes.
So I feel like let's just bring up the first one and see who it is. It looks like it is Caster Carrick's. Oh, that's some familiar names going on here. What's happening there? Oh, I vividly remember this game. So
Who's that? Hecarim?
yeah, 2-12 and 3 heart. What a game. Well, let me preface this with it was my first game of Hecarim in about a year. And I just was limit testing and learning things about this.
Good answer.
So 12 deaths. It was like once I got to about 4, I think if you ask anyone that was in this game, because we were a 4-stack or 5-stack at this point, I literally just said, I am for fun gaming, let's go. And I was just initiating on the you see that Mordecai that's got 12 kills and 1 death? There's a reason for that.
I'll ult before he can ult. I understand the logic, right? You know, he can't take into the death chamber if you just die before.
Yeah. Well, I had fun. I had a good.
For sure.
These stats are great. I'm glad that Carrick threw us under the bus like this, because I had a good time last night. Now, I think that's a great way to start it off, because it's only uphill from there. So if you're embarrassed by your performances, don't be, because I certainly aren't. I'm not.
That was a 2-12 banger. Listen, if I was going to give you one thing, Mac, that game ended with you having a control ward in your inventory. So I'm not gonna go for the throat too early into the show, all right?
It took me so long to get anything going, anything at all. Either way, players that did get things going are the ones that have gone overseas in the last couple of years, and we fortunately got to catch up with them to have a quick chat.
I think it's pretty awesome to play overseas and to compete in the LCS. Has some of the best players in the world, and doing what I love, you know? I've improved so much as a player, so I'm really enjoying it over here.
Hey guys, Ailey here, and now I'm the support for Team Liquid Academy. I would describe my experience going overseas as akin to go on an adventure, because I've been able to experience new places, meet new people, make new friends, experience a different culture. But for me, the best part definitely has been being able to play with people that I always grew up watching and really admired.
You know, moving overseas and into a coaching position is fun for sure. Coaching is something that I was always passionate about, and it's nice to be able to bestow the knowledge that I've had over, you know, my 7-year career.
It's pretty fantastic to be playing overseas. It's really quite staggering, the differences in how I can improve. There's so many more things I have access to, and you know, shorter queue times, better players, better coaches, better teammates. Everything around me is just so much easier for me to improve, and I'm really enjoying making good use of it all. But it's also really challenging because the level of play is a lot higher, and I really have to push myself to be good.
The thing that I miss the most about OS would be my family and friends. I miss them a lot, and of course the KFC Zinger boxes. We don't have those here.
I do think that we have one of the best communities in the world, right? We're pretty tight-knit, everyone knows everyone, and I think that I'll definitely miss the people, from the talent, the players, to the fans, to everything in between.
Honestly, OS is just a lot of fun in 7 different ways. The players are really special there. They're all really cool personalities. I really miss all my friends and all my old teammates from back there.
My hot tip for 2022 would be Kevy. I think he's definitely improved a lot over the years, and I think he's definitely a player to watch.
Kevy is the jungler for Order, and when I came back to OS this year during the off-season, and he was one of the main players that always showed up every night and shined above the other players.
So I'd say Jeeps for me going to take it, but I think Peace are definitely going to be that dark horse.
I think everyone from OS is really underestimating how good the PGG roster is going to be. I really think Winterer, this guy is going to blow your minds next year. If he doesn't dominate the league, I would be extremely surprised.
To my friends at the Chiefs Esports Club, I wish you guys the best of luck, especially you, Raze. I'll be watching you, mate.
The league is in actually a very good spot to have a very successful domestic career, and then I also think for the players that have aspirations to move overseas, whether that's Europe, whether that's NA, the light at the end of the tunnel is there, and it's probably a lot closer than it seems, right?
Marky, you better stomp it, and for everyone else, good luck beating him. You're gonna need it.
I just have this small bit of advice. The journey to the top is lonely. It's okay if no one else is doing it, because in the end, that is what it takes to become the best.
That That sounds like a very inspirational quote. Have you heard that one before, Rusty?
I'm pretty sure that exact quote is on my gym playlist while I'm working out back. I listen to motivational playlists at the moment because for some reason it like G's me up more than anything else. And it reminds me, I don't know if Ayla was on the team, but there was a team, I'm pretty sure Carbon was involved in this one actually, where they would play the Super Saiyan video where he was just like screaming the whole time with like hype music in the background.
Yeah.
So you'd sit in the studios at Riot at the time, you just hear like 6 people just go, "Huh!" It was quite annoying by week 10.
Yeah, I'd expect that to get a little bit annoying. Now, before we jump on into the match discussion for game number 1 of the day, I just really need to point out, I think it's criminal that KFC in America doesn't have Zinger boxes as well. So, Destiny, look, I feel you on that one. Now, let's start talking game number 1. Let's talk Gravitas first. Of course, it's going to be Gravitas going up against Order today. Gravitas came in and I guess drew a lot of attention yesterday, doing pretty well for all of the talk you've heard during the Twitter sphere. You know, the Twitter sphere lately has not been kind to Gravitas, and I feel like they came out and really just proved their worth, Skimmy.
Yeah, I think they've showcased that. Look, there's a lot of players on this roster, but this is the 5 we're going to stick with. Same roster as last night, with Tyron in the top lane, Foreign in the jungle, Dejong in the mid, Thomas, Shen, and Vixper as your bottom lane. And I think really, you know, Tyron had a bit of a rough time, right? He played the Gragas, played it blind, the Vladimir after the fact. Yeah, had a bit of a rough time, died solo, gave away some free scaling as a result to make that pick look so strong. Dejong, as I mentioned before, played very aggressively, kind of fell off after missing that first blood. But I looked at Vixper, very keen to engage, sometimes too keen, where Foreigner was coming down to his lane and looking to try and assist and make sure that they would win that bot lane and get Thomas Shen ahead. I think, you know, if they weren't down, say, 20k gold, there's a real situation where Thomas Shen and their bot lane, as a result, could have tried to carry them into a victory. But really exciting to see when you've got, you know, these engaged-style players. It's all about fine-tuning, right? You know, picking those moments. I think there's a few times we said on the cast itself, because Vladimir had no teleport, you could just force that hook, flash forward, hit the passive, hit the hook, make it a 4v5, get some trades. You need to. There's big bounties, there's things to claim on the map. So, yeah, finding your moments.
Yeah, and look, speaking of finding their moments, we do have to talk about Order as well, because they came out of the gate swinging yesterday, but unfortunately after a 7-0 start, it just all went downhill, didn't it, Rusty?
Yeah, for me there was a couple of really shaky moments from Order. If there was one thing that I would say summarizes the game that they had yesterday, they were very good at punishing Chiefs in their loss, right?
Yeah.
They managed to be 7-0. They kind of pulled a game that was impossible to win back to being extremely winnable, and they had an Ocean Soul angle in the game itself. So there was so many positives to actually look towards. For me, majority of this, and it wasn't always reflected through the gameplay, belongs to Kisei.
Yeah.
He had a lot of proactivity through mid, and he was a major catalyst in a lot of their early kills that they got. It's just that it hit a point where, even with an Ocean Soul, they were just kind of outmatched by composition. Corki was always going to outrange them, disregard this int from Tally. It's after this where he's good. But like, he outranged, and an Ocean Soul meant nothing, and Chiefs team fighting proved to be just a little bit too strong, and it's more like the calm reserve nature with which they team fought, right? The pressure that they applied before the fight happened was a little bit too much for Order to deal with.
Yeah, and I just want to point out as well that Kevy got touted as the player to watch for the league from both Destiny and Ayla in that video we were watching before as well. So keep your eyes on this man. He definitely drew a lot of attention towards the end of last split when he jumped in for split 2 to Order and tried to lead by example, made Vi great again, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's literally, I mean, quick fun fact, if we look at some of those stats that he picked up, or the accolades really from Split 2, he was the LCO 2021 MVP, so the entire league was like, this is the guy to watch. He was part of the All-Pro team with Biopanther in the top lane. The other 3 members are no longer playing, right? So you could almost say that that was a team, or a pairing, at least the top side to watch, and outstanding rookie. So there's a lot of accolades that ourselves, the fans, and everybody else have thrown his way. The players that you heard before that have gone internationally believe in the guy, and he's got a very unique champion pool, right? Can certainly play meta, but he's got some of those crazy, you know, characters up his back sleeve. The Evelyn with the Kayn, Talia, if you will. As you said, the Vi as well. A lot of champions which you would not see, and perhaps you're not well versed in because you don't verse it in scrims, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, he's cheesed to win, which is perfect in the best of one format.
It seems like we've got a lot of really strong junglers coming into this year of the LCO, right? Like a lot of players that play carries as well. So it seems to be win conditions on, I guess for probably like, I can think like 7 of the 8 teams that all really have really strong junglers at the moment.
I mean, I feel like we even said mid jungle for the bottom 4 teams, didn't we? Was the place to watch. I feel like that is consistent through the entire league right now. Junglers are probably the most stacked role. We've got Babip as a substitute, bro. Like, we have a league winner as a sub. We've got some good junglers this split.
Completely ridiculous. Now, we do have Kitty to bring into the conversation. Kitty, how are you doing down on the sidelines there?
Hey guys, well, I've grabbed 2 people for the interview. One is Corporal and the second one is Foreigner. Wait, is there no interview? Oh! Hello. So, first game of the day, Corporal. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty confident. I think it's going to be a free win, so...
So, you guys did end with a loss against the Chiefs. How'd you prepare for today?
Well, we didn't really. It was... I just think, like, we're kind of coming in, like... I mean, there's, like, a really, really high chance we're going to win, so I'm not stressed at all.
I mean... good to be confident. So, I was watching your Alistair game yesterday and you built Zhonya's. Can you explain to the fans what's the concept behind building Zhonya's on engage supports?
Pretty much Zhonya's is... you just go in and then you buy like extra amount of time because supports aren't really that tanky. Like you just go in, blow all your cooldowns, and then if you Zhonya's you can buy like 2 extra seconds for your backline, and that's like pretty invaluable, especially as a low income role. And so what is it? And then if you do use Zhonya's, you can maybe have like 1 more cooldown before you die again.
Well, I'll definitely be trying in solo queue, and thank you for the interview, Corporal. So, Foreigner, so you started on Gravitas Grassroots. For any aspiring, Grassroots. For any aspiring players, do you have a journey to share from amateur to LCO?
I just basically played under Gravitas Grassroots for a whole year, and then there was a main spot in Gravitas, and luckily I was offered to play under Grassroots, under Gravitas as a main jungler.
So do you have any unique skill sets that you bring to Gravitas' jungle?
I think I just bring good communications and just a bit of banter with the boys, and yeah.
It's always nice to have some banter, lightens up the mood. Alright, well, thank you and good luck in your match. Let's bring the conversation back to Mac.
Thank you.
Good to hear from them and have a bit of insight on what's going on and what they're thinking about going towards today. Now, Kitty, I need to ask you, this game in particular, it feels like it is probably going to be a bit one-sided, order favoured. Is there anyone that you think we should be watching in particular for order today?
On order, I think probably Kevy. Kevy also performed really well yesterday on that Lee Sin. And if we're talking about Gravitas, I would definitely still give all the rookies a chance. Because obviously yesterday they didn't have the greatest game, but they can still improve. So yeah, I'll be looking out for all of the players on Gravitas, and especially Kevy and Gorda.
Yeah, still just sort of waiting for the people to shine, right? Like waiting for them to have their moments. You know, it's still very early in the split, very early in the year. So hopefully Gravitas will show what they are made of. But of course, we got to talk about predictions as well. So I feel like we may all be aligned on the same page here, unless anyone's gone for an underdog pick. So if we bring those up in a sec, I'm sure they'll all be order favored. Cool, didn't eat my words. I didn't actually check that ahead of time. But look, congrats to all of us, 4-0. So clean sweep from us all so far. I have a feeling there is 1 or 2 games today where we may see that change, though. What are you thinking about that one, Skimmy?
Yeah, I think we're pretty much control, copy, pasting every result until maybe 1, as you say. But yeah, no, I think Order should take this one out, right? You know, another roster that we touted, quote unquote, is like a super roster, so they should be looking to try and come to this one. Keep it clean, keep it simple, have no problems. As for Gravitas, you want to obviously see them keep it competitive, and yeah.
Yeah, what about you, Rusty? What are your thoughts going into this? That mid-game for Order yesterday was obviously a little bit rough. Do you think we just want to see what Order are capable of towards that mid to late game if we get that deep?
I think the main thing for Order this time around is they're clearly the favourites in this game, right? Where yesterday we would have said they were more of the underdog, right? Or contender to the role where their opponents were the favourites. So what I'm really wanting to see from Order above all else this time is proactivity, right? Because they have to win. And unlike Foreigner, who perhaps can just provide bans to get the dubs, I want to see proactivity on Order's side to kill the Nexus.
Okay, and what about you, Kitty? What's your reasoning for this one?
Well, obviously, Order is filled with a lot of veterans. They've been playing for years. Compared to Gravitas, who's just promoted their amateur players, they're all rookies. So obviously, my bet would be Order win.
Okay, now I guess going into this, I feel like that I just want to see more from Order. We saw them with a very strong start yesterday, but it's just, that mid-game, we need to see them have a very convincing win here because a lot of people have put them in their sort of top 3s, top 4s going into the power rankings for this split. And yeah, they had a bit of a rough start yesterday against Chiefs, with that comeback that Chiefs managed to... It wasn't even a comeback, it was like it looked very strong from Order, but the money was there. There was no real goal difference the whole way until Chiefs really started to push back. So we need to see a very convincing win here from Order to enable them to stay towards that, top 3-4 position.
Sorry, the thing that I actually just thought about as you were saying that is BioPanther was... Like, just thinking back to yesterday's games, because I spoke to someone about this afterwards, BioPanther very passive. I feel like if you watch that game back, he had like 10 different angles to kill his top laner 1v1, right?
But you mentioned it multiple times, right? Like, that's an explosive cast. There's the ult, there's the kill, there's the def, but restraint.
Do you remember there was a really early point as well where I think the Chiefs jungler invaded on towards like Krugs or something, and you're like, oh, Bio's not rotating, and he just didn't leave his tower, but it was like a perfect opportunity for that to be like another really early pick as well, but it just didn't happen. So maybe, do we want to see a bit more aggression coming out of Bio today?
I think what I want is less blind Gragas top lane from the better top laner in certain matchups, because like the blind Gragas is serviceable, and certain Gragas players will win the matchup, but I want to see them win more. And I think the issue that drafting's running into right now is 4th pick red side, just pick Gragas because it's safe. But we saw, I think, 3 Gragas losses or 2 Gragas losses yesterday, and they were all pretty rough as well. They were big losses.
Well, what would be like the champ pick instead of Gragas to stop that from happening?
I mean, Graves, right? If you're going to blind pick a champion, he is the ranged variant. I think you could be much more aggressive and look for like a Jace style of pick as well, comp depending. I think that there are options there. You can also 3rd pick a top laner into bans, or 5th pick top lane, right? If you're going to like 4th pick a support after bans. There's options in draft that I just think everyone's defaulting to 4th pick Gragas.
Yeah, any options, any thoughts on that one, Kitty?
Well, you guys talking about BioPanther being passive, I'm just gonna assume it's first day nerfs because we have seen him do great stuff in the past. He has been known as the tanky, weak side player who always gets a solo kill. So I'm pretty sure it's just first day nerfs, and I'm expecting a lot from BioPanther.
Well, I want him to come out today and just play Akshan and just, res all the boys. They continue to be aggressive. Their map movements are clean. They're getting the kills. They're getting the resets, and Max smiling.
Well, let's see if we're going to see some Akshan or not, because Champ Select is ready. Gravitas and Order coming at you right now.
Fantastic. Let's kick off day number 2 with a bang. Then let's jump into this draft and get to see what happens as Gravitas and Order do battle. Order on the left-hand side for the 2nd time now. Back-to-back games. Corki has been let through, and it's an instant first pick.
Yeah, straight into the Corkster. Makes sense. Of course, one of the best champions right now. And I think we mentioned this briefly yesterday, one of the reservations people will have about a Corki first pick is that there are counters that exist. You could play, a Zed or an Assassin in mid lane has been known as something that beats Corki because he's only really going to build a more of Mortius. Forcing him to build a shield bow, you would generally say is a major victory. So it's always like there's that part in your brain that's like, I don't want to first pick this, but it is so broken if you get to 3 items that honestly, I don't care. Go 0-4 and just be Corki and you'll be happy. So glad that they do go for that first pick.
Good to see what the response is from Gravitas as they wasted no time locking in the Jinx, giving themselves a very strong open in the bot lane. One of the preferred champions here for Thomas Shen. Hop the Rumble for a second. I tell you what, we're not in that meta anymore, so cycling through what else is meta. Not going to be the J4 this time. It's going to be Viego.
I wouldn't be mad to see a Rumble locked in just quietly. Actually, we've been seeing a little bit of Rumble over in the LPL in top lane, so there is a world. Kevy just going to hover a bunch of his champions and Voldemort, so we'll continue to cycle through. See where he chooses to go. It does make sense that you would go for a bottom lane here. You match the AD carry and then probably lock in an optimal support before the ban phase. You're expecting... I mean, realistically, Jinx can go with anything now, but Nautilus, Leona, usually the best options for Jhin. Yuumi does go with Jhin, jokes aside, so it's still on the list.
Yeah, the same with Ezreal as well as they were hovering through. Start to wonder, is it an early fresh angle, given it's still up? Try and dash away from all these resets that Gravitas are clearly hunting for nice and early. Instead, the Lee Sin is now being hovered. We're going to showcase some of those mechanics that we got to see yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Xin Zhao's already banned, Viego picked. Lee Sin lock-in here does mean that they're not going to go for like a Lee Sin Jarvan 4-5 ban phase for Gravitas and really limit the jungle champion pool. And beyond those 3 champions, those 4 champions with Viego, it is pretty limited right now in a competitive sense. So first 3 junglers with a bot lane is usually the staple. The one mix-up is going to be that FP of Corki, which throws Gravitas for a little bit of a loop, right? Do you match with a mid laner, which they have seemed to have gone towards, of course, flexible. Does leave the support role open for some potential ban.
Going to derail that for a second and say I was having flashbacks to Fasting Senna, where I saw a Nasus getting hovered there right until the very last second. It could have been so exciting, something cheesy to try and get a win here against Order, but they do default to the Akali instead. So now we do get to the second half of the ban phase and get to see what Gravitas decide to try and remove. You're looking at supports, you're looking at further protection to allow these free AD damage sources to really work wonders. You've removed the Graves in the first half, now you're removing the Gragas as well.
Still no Victor, no Twisted Fate to be seen. Still none of the champions that we spoke about at the top of the show that the rest of the world absolutely loves. Corki Victor is known as a slightly Victor-favored handshake lane as well. So there's really no harm in looking for that option. We saw from Dajung yesterday that he doesn't mind a bit of Vex, cheeky Vex gameplay, so could be that he looks towards that, as we are now seeing a Gragas ban from Gravitas side with a Malphite.
Okay.
Is this just a Jace 4th pick, or is this an Akali top lane and they're afraid of that matchup?
Does raise some questions right now because you're limiting their champion pool to what's up and available still. As you say, Jace would still feel like one of the top 3 contenders. You've got the likes of Ornn, Camille, to say the least, if you want some form of bulkiness or some split push action to try and keep this team in check. They're going to remove 2 supports our order. They remove away the Fresh first of all, and then the Lulu. No hooks, no box, no flay, no polymorph. Nothing to try and make Kisei's life as hard as possible.
Yeah, and this does make things a little bit easier for someone like a Lee Sin, right? To find those engage angles, not get polymorphed or lantern to safety. If the Q connects, this should be a top lane pick from Gravitas. It's weird that they would do 2 top bans into not picking a top laner. And now I'm just going to throw it out there. Malphite Gragas bans against Biopanther into a set pick is a little bit weird. And I'm going to say weird in supplement for many other words that came to mind. And we'll let this draft continue out. What matters for Gravitas is that they have the counter pick, if they would like, for bottom lane in its entirety.
World is their oyster right now. Plenty of options for them to conjure up. What are they going to go for? Leaving us one to the very last moment. It is going to be the Jace. It's what we were wondering, and it's what we thought seemed right. Another champion which offers you so much poke. I'm looking at an Exodius situation here where you've got 3 very far backline champions.
Yuumi.
You've got Corki,
It's a Yuumi
you've got
angle.
Jhin, you've got Jace.
I hate
you poke them at the fight. How do they hard engage with a set?
Well, that would work as well. The champion that you pick has to be really good with like surviving the 3 in like a 1-3-1 type of composition, or survive the engage that has to come out of Gravitas because you have a poke composition. I mean, Zilean is just like the primeval against an engage composition.
Yep.
He's just going to press R and you've been countered. Yuumi was an option because it provides crazy damage output for the poke champions and, you know, cannot be targeted, so they can use mobility to get out. But I like the Zilean route here personally. It does mean, though, that Gravitas can see the Zilean and pick whatever they would like. You can go a hook champion if you want to be super aggressive. That's where they're going to go. Thresh ban Nautilus was the logical choice. So a bit more aggression down in that 2v2.
Yeah, it looks like Vixbus is going to run things back from last night and showcase what they can do in the spot lane again. But very different draft ideas, right? I feel like Gravitas revealed their hand very early on. They have Assassins in the first 3. They have the ability to try and find a kill, get a reset, and get excited, literally. Whereas Order have said, well, if we just poke you from afar, how do you play the game? We've got stuns, we've got bombs. And if you do by some miracle, managed to kill somebody. We've got a Zillion ult, there's a revive, a second chance, and we're back in business once more. Which draft do you like more, I suppose?
I think the Zillion pick's actually super clutch. So I was originally going to say okay, there's two things that I like about both compositions. One is that Gravitas have got the ease of execution, right? Nautilus can press ult. Set has the ultimate to get into the backline. They've got the Akali for the dive with the Viego. And the purpose is the resets for Viego. Suddenly the game shifts, and it's so easy for them to win team fights if they get that first kill, because if Viego reset, Jinx excited, wrap it up for a team fight, right? Or to pick Zillion, which stops both of those things from happening outright. So if the Zillion pays off and the ults go on the correct target, they deny those resets, then the poke composition of Order is just going to be way too strong, scaling up in items and probably just going to go a little bit out of control. So I like both compositions for different reasons. I think there is skill in execution, which means there is going to be a lot of importance placed on setup, Skimmy, vision control, and how they execute.
In vision control is going to be absolutely paramount, no doubt, here for Gravitas to seek out those opportunities for them to collapse on, to deny a fully fledged 5-man roster of Order to come together and utilize all their poke, but most importantly, the Zillion component to add to be that cherry on top, really. So I'm quite excited to see how these two teams do decide to battle things out. It was quite exciting for me seeing Order with their map movements. It felt a little bit reactive at times, always on the back foot against Chiefs, but they were in the right place at the right time as a collective to try and find those punishments. So can Gravitas look to try and cause them headaches like that again? They've got a similar composition, if you date your mind back to last night, in terms of find the hook, find the kill, and go on that.
Certainly is possible, yes, but we are looking for that proactivity, right? We're looking for what Order can provide. If they get leads for Gravitas, we want that aggression still to be there, Skimmy. We want to see them snowball with that aggression when it happens.
Certainly do. Let's load into the Rift and get ourselves ready for game number 1 here for day 2 of week 1. It's Order on the left-hand side with Gravitas on the right, and I am in fact joined here by Gravitas' coach in Sipe Nav. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you fellas doing?
Very well, mate. Very well. It's always exciting to have more people in the LCO for us to talk to. Quick, easy question for you boys as we load into this game. What's it been like working with such a big roster, and sort of what can the fans expect in terms of all these players to come?
Yeah, well, working with big rosters, very similar to working with a small roster. It's just you've got more things going on. So, unfortunately, you can't run everybody in scrim, so you can't just keep up with running and interchanging people as much as you would like. So you generally have to just start with a starting roster and give them most of the scrims. And over the next couple of weeks, we're planning to keep interchanging people and sort of work out what the team dynamics going to sort of finalize to become. And obviously we've got a lot of green people, so what to expect from us is just keep building up the basics. A lot of other teams have already got past that marker, but we'll keep working through it. And testing out what our different rosters can achieve.
Yeah, fantastic. I love the answer. Very excited to see what you boys can conjure up this year and how we can see you guys go as a result. We're going to leave there for the meantime as we load into the Rift. And pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Of course, we do load into a pause here, Skimmy, unfortunately, on the return back from the coach interview. Welcome to Shouty here for anyone's joining us for the first time. This is our natural colour screen. And I do agree with Sipenav in majority of the points that he made, including working with a big team is like working with a small team, only bigger. I can't argue with a single word.
He chose to speak facts.
He did spit facts. This game, of course, we are about 1 minute 50 seconds into it as the pause happened. What you've missed, realistically, is nothing. There was a bit of aggression bottom. That's to be expected, right? Nautilus into Zillion. You're looking for those hook angles. You want to be super aggressive. You also want to try and be aggressive before level 2. The Zillion starts to actually get stuns out, and it means that the trade back is pretty good from the side of Order, depending on how those hooks go. And if you miss a hook, you definitely cop it. Through the rest of the map, though, expect a lot of health trading in top, a lot of aggression in mid from Corki trying to get push while he can. But that swings back wildly, around the level 6 point.
So the kill pressure, you look at the level 6 for what that really entail and offer Gravitas. It's going to be quite scary. That's the drag back. Here's Bipepper switches to melee, and I should say hammer form really more so than anything. Hits him with a knockback. They walk away both dead even and start building some consumables.
Yeah, I mean, definitely got to be a part of this one. Now, I think we have to look at this one, Skimmy, as well, because it is the Doran shield, right? Not the triple rejuve.
Yeah.
We see very different Akali builds, but all of them want to have that health regeneration. Corki's not going to be an extreme poke champion in comparison to some top lane matchups, and also top lane is such a long lane that you'll get more poke over an extended duration. So it's more risky to have the triple rejuve up there, but it can provide more value if you get away with it. This time around, really valuing the health and auto attacks that come out of Corki as a champion. Obviously going to be quite annoying to deal with, so the shield's pretty clutch.
I think we got from Mac yesterday, right? The fact that we had a game with the Corki getting, what, plus 2,300 gold by the end of it. It's a pretty nice item, and this could be a pretty nice gank here, looking for first blood as Foreigner comes in. Flashes forward, does hit the stun, despite Kisei burning flesh late. He doesn't fall on down, but he feels a fair bit of pain. Out goes the Chompers, there's the hook, there's the damage exhaust, and a bomb, a stun. As Puma tries to answer back with the fourth and final shot and just locks him in place.
Puma trades back onto the AD carry of Gravitas, but the difference between support health bars right now is too big.
Ooh, Vexbay, he's so keen, he's so hungry. Deadly Flourish goes wide, but they found the passive again, locked in place. And the trade is actually still working in favor of Gravitas, but Puma's answering back.
Here.
And they bought enough time. Here comes Kevy. Foreigner is still running down the lane. Double flash to try and buy some time. He's got no money. He's flashed on forward, letting the 1, 2, 3 auto attack go across. Red buff's not enough. But the flash forward and the third shot will do it. So explosive in this bottom lane.
Yeah, Kevy gets there too fast, right? Nice damage coming out of the Lee Sin. Good mechanics as well. Flashing at the correct moment. He's hunting. Trying to make sure that this Jinx does not get any free farm under the turret. We'll just be able to disengage at the very end there regardless. And Kevy gets the first move. Foreigner just left reeling really in response. If we think back towards that mid gank, however, a really nice flash stun actually coming out of the Viego, but no ignite for mid, right? No ignite in that mid lane Akali matchup means the kill threat was all but gone, and another chance at life for Kisei in mid lane, who can just come back to lane with his teleport.
Yes, certainly can. Both TPs now gone in that mid lane. Only one available still will be Tyrant in the top side, who's currently pushing in a wave against this Jace. But no summoners exist in this bot lane now. Very chaotic energy, back and forth. It started looking like Vixbert was going to lead the line, find that kill, and get these boys on the score sheet nice and early. But a calm measure and a early jungle rotation. There's the showstopper, or I should say, the face breaker into the haymaker. Bit of a tongue twister. As Tyrant's just looking to try and crash this one and back to base.
Also known as the make 'em kiss. If you get tongue-tied, it's a lot easier to say. Biopanther just trying to trade really aggressively in top lane. You'll note that he also has phase rush in his matchup instead of the first strike on that Jace. Jace Corki, two of the first strike champions. And that mobility is really useful for getting away from a Viego, first of all, if you're able to proc it, and from a set who, as a primary function, without flash, just has to walk at you menacingly until he catches you. So Jace definitely gets a lot of value from phase rush in a game like this. And it's also going to be a triple tier stacking game, Skimmy. So from the side of Order, 3 tiers to be built, a lot of scaling to be had. The whole purpose of this early game is just get through it, use Kevy, and try and have a platform for success through his ganks early, right? Through his early goal generation, because they aren't exactly losing lanes, they're just scaling champions. And if they hit those 1 items, 2 item spikes, I think 3 for Corki's when it becomes unbearable. The game gets really, really impossible for Gravitas.
It does certainly feel like the bridge to get them through this early stage whilst they're waiting for those tiers to be completed at 360. So if you can see Kevy continue to be proactive in such a fashion like he is right here, that's going to give these guys enough chance to scale into infinity and hit a point much like their game last night, where doesn't matter what soul you have, doesn't matter what buffs you have, you just can't contend with all the damage coming your way.
Kevy going to snipe away a couple of those chickens. But yeah, the thing is, the onus belongs to Gravitas, right? You need to see them make some early aggressive moves. I would say around level 6 is probably their stronger break point as a team. Pretty much every champion wants to be level 6 to really be at their peak usefulness. Jinx being able to have that global impact, Nautilus being able to roam, and then Akali being an assassin set with that big ultimate, and the Viego for resets and having an extra dash within that. to get even more from it. So that's when you expect to see some explosive moves from Gravitas across the board. But the Dragon's already gone. Herald is the play in 20 seconds. And I think we are seeing the first map move of the game almost on cue from the correct team here, Gravitas. That Jinx is walking mid.
Yeah. We're going to try and get level 6 as quickly as possible. As you can see, halfway towards it, so the bot lane shouldn't be too far. Going on the rest of the team. The land of the ultimates. And finding the next objective to collapse upon. They got the first Drake, auto-sacrificed it for the points we've already mentioned. They're now going to abuse the fact that they have this early game strength, and they can be so feared at level 6 to go for their Herald 2. Auto-sacrificing, very keen just to scale, have good CS, bide their time, and wait for their summoners, most importantly, to come back online.
Order putting a lot of priority on movement speed here as well, the early Sorks, as Dajung's ulted on Corporal. He's level 5.
He's looking for it. The second charge of Perfect Execution is not going to do its damage. He tried to wait out the exhaust, but it's not enough to take down Corporal. I think it just missed, actually. Chomper's come down. I'm also disengaged and say, you shall not pass. As Thomas Shen just keen to farm under his turret.
If we're able to quickly check how many points the Zillion has in E as well, that felt like a 3 points in E amount of move speed out of Corporal. Yeah, he's definitely E-maxing. A lot of greedy Zillions in solo queue, you'll see, put all their points into the time bomb. Corporal basically survives as a result of having 3 points for the movement speed in that E.
Yeah, you overlap that with the exhaust, you're very hard to move away from. There's the kick straight away. He's going to actually run back into the area for the Gomp. He's failed the flash. He has failed the flash, but there's the second with the ultimate to disengage away. He nearly died to the curtain call. Dejong on the flank has no ultimate. That was down from a fight prior. Vixbet flashed across the wall, hits the passive, hits the hook. Looking for Kisei. They've got a split focus here. Rusty, who are they going for? Going for Corporal. Now he's flashing across 1v3 and he finds it. The 5-point strike, it gets it done, but will the rest of his team fall around him? He comes from the enemy side jungle. Thomas Shen flashes on his head and says, please help me. And there's the Sonic Wave. There's the final shot. There's the double. Give him the triple, and this Jhin at 10 minutes is fed.
And I'm going to be honest with you, if that was a level 6 Nautilus, that was a completely different fight. That it was so good as an engage angle for Gravitas. So good is just not going to be enough to actually get them to engage. They need just off on experience. We'll see this again. Kisei literally abandons the jungle and just decides, you know, you're on your own. Kevi, have a good time, I've packaged out. Has to jump back over. So now he is at risk, right? And that's why Vixper sees an angle here, wants to engage. Dajung on the flank. A level 6 Naut here, ults Puma. They're done. They're actually dead. But Foreigner's so poked out already from the initial package. Dajung flashes the wall to get the execute and confirms it. But he's left the rest of his team. And he really is the only point of strength there, right? The rest of them are reeling. No health, no mana, no resources. And easy for Puma to flash forwards. And then gets gifted the triple by the rest of his team. Well played by Order in the end.
And the aftermath is something quite terrifying. They've now found themselves a 4K lead. They found themselves 5 kills very early on, and they are, well, they're chilling. Gale Force is instantly being picked up here. Eclipse has been found on the top side too. They've got the power spikes, they've got the damage, and you have to wonder now, what can Gravitas do? Because there is the depth charge. The hook goes away. Doesn't connect with the target they're after. Both junglers are here. It's going to be a 3v3. They're looking for the execute on towards Foreigner. There is the slow onto the Nautilus, the kick away, which was a disengage more so than anything.
Kevi was looking for a montage skimmy. He wanted the kick into Vixper. Was very close to hitting the Sonic Wave there as well. But yes, Kevi was seeing montage moments. Puma also missed his W, so the CC lock just wasn't there from the side of Order. A little bit of a mis-execution, but nevertheless still favor going in their direction. Makes sense when you've got a 401 Jhin with a full mythic in his pocket. So very easy Drake to confirm.
Well, we have ourselves an Infernal Rift. If you're Gravitas, you're probably wincing now, thinking they have all this poke, they have all this damage, that would be the icing on the cake, and then we truly, as if you couldn't already fathom the idea, will not be able to play the game. There is the face breaker, bring them back together, looking to try and get any kind of cheeky trades he can at any given moment. The reason being that Foreigner's in the area, but he will be spotted on vision. Kevy's looking to contest his crab, and a TP back to lane from Kisei. There's the fight now, looking for that 2v2. Biopanther still in the area, keep a tab with Tyrant, he's not there. The ultimate away, and the shock blast no scope, he don't miss.
From downtown, Biopanther will find that one. Now it is a 0-2 Viego jungle. Needed to ult away almost immediately, but had a little bit of a biff and, you know, just lost too much health. That is vision, right? In the top lane river that shows where he is. Foreigner, upon being spotted, tries to sneak away the scuttle, but it's gone. You know, time is wasted. He'll secure the scuttle or lose his life. For a Puma about to cop a Nord ultimate.
Minion wave in the way, but can he hit the passive? There's the Riptide first of all. Passive connects, he's lost in place. A Gale Force away. He had no flash, no heal, and a 1v2. The Jin gets away with murder. Now Tyron 1v3 collapsed upon, gets slowed in place. Flashes bomb number 1. And Sonic Wave connects to the minion, but it doesn't matter. They're still hungry to king. Oh, he's going to fall on down. He is. Okay, the Resurrect comes on through. Can Daejong salvage anything here? Double bomb. The stun is out, and he just cannot play the game.
No, he doesn't have any damage here either. I mean, level 9 Akali does have some decent damage output with the Q, but just sitting on the Bramble, rather the Balmy Cinder, doesn't have enough to execute. You would expect there as well. We'll just respect them and disengage, and responsive to a play, but not able to influence that one. Tragically, of course, for Gravitas, then more time gets wasted where Order are pushing further and further ahead. And this game, let's just keep in mind, everybody, that Gravitas, you would say, needed an early lead, right? Or needed an early point of power, point of pressure to have an influence through the mid to late stages of this game. That's very quickly starting to disappear with the lead that Order are getting. And this poke composition is going to come online so fast, Skibby.
Yep. It's a daunting few minutes ahead for these guys. You talk about going a tier build, it's going to take time to ramp up, but hey, they've managed to cheat that, get over that speed bump, which is usually so annoying. And I mean, it started so well for Gravitas, right? The first 2 objectives going their way, you're thinking, fantastic, level 6 come online, you win that team fight, and we could have a very, very different story.
What could have been is unfortunately already gone, though. It's the issue. It's so hard to say things like that 14.5 minutes into a game, but we need, effectively, for the next objective that gets fought over, some kind of hope to be seen for Gravitas. Because positives aside, right? Things that we have seen from them between games that have already been an improvement, something has to change. Here we go.
Depth charge goes out, locked in place there with the zap afterwards. Chrono Shift comes out nice and early, going to Gale Force in for the execute in a 1v4 situation. Flash away underneath the tower. Thomas Shen connects. Oh, baited by the summoner heal. He turns it around and gets the kill. Trant Proc is there. He's lived a little bit too long. He's somehow defied death when it really should not have happened. He's found himself a double kill from the grave. Kevy comes in and plays Janitor like he did last night. And they are showing the class here, Order, because they get a kill in mid too.
Tyron walks mid to hold the wave as mid translates down to bottom. Bio's just going to take the top turret during all of this as well, so keep that in mind. There is absolutely nothing out of that situation that goes the way of Gravitas. They'll kill Puma, but my god, the fancy footwork coming out of the bottom lane of Order is nothing to scoff at. They put in work. So much damage coming out of them. Great use of the Zillion ultimate. The baiting of the heal as well after all was said and done. It was a pleasure to watch because it's Gravitas that go in. The hook actually pushes them onto the Jinx traps. That's a nice little combo. The flash just before turrets. You'd expect Gravitas have done a lot of things right so far. Dajun comes in. Thomas Shen tries to flash and get the confirm on that kill. But because the heal's there, an extra 2 auto attacks thereabouts come through from Puma, including crits. And that's so much time for KV to get there and clean up duty. Could have been so much worse, honestly, for Gravitas.
Well, they had to make a move. You had to commend them for that, but unfortunately for them, Order have punished, and they've done it again as we come out of the replay and back to the action. 16 minutes in. It's 11 kills to 3. A dragon soon to spawn in the package in Kisei's possession.
What does the package get them if not the freest dragon you've ever seen in your entire life? Herald to be summoned here as well. They're going to break the bot lane turret. That basically means in the past minute, all of the outer turrets fall at once. This package could honestly just be used to clear mid-wave in a 1v3 situation. Kisei is strong enough to potentially assassinate Thomas Shen and get out with it as well. So they've got to respect, and you can see Tyron hovering with Vixpa. This could even be a second charge. Why go for the dragon as a team when just a Lee Sin suffices and you can do this?
Looking for the fight once again, are they? Depth charge goes out nice and early, only onto Puma, but no follow-up. Now Foreigner looking for the stun, hits one. Corporal locked in his sight to really picking up scraps here, looking for a support. They're going to find it. Chrono Shift cannot be used. It was available, but the burst. Daejong finds it. Perfect execution. Now can he disengage away? Look at this range. curtain call and a shock blast, and then there's a big one, and they all just drop like flies.
Yeah, the poke composition with this lead doesn't even need time to ramp up, doesn't even need to poke. It's actually just assassins running around. Massive bombs come out of the Corki. The Jace shock blasts are half-healthing them as well. And really, what we're waiting to see at this point is that Balloons, out of control to 9,000 gold difference, is for Order to just be on the same screen. And I feel like if Order have 5 people on the same screen, Skibby, you just FF. There's really no winning angle. Like, this is good from Gravitas, right? They pick a moment where they know they have a numbers advantage. They would have to assume Lee Sin is a Drake above all else. The Jinx ultimate executes nicely with the Akali there as well. Pretty difficult to time the Zillion ultimate unless you've preempted all of that damage. But still, you see the shock blast do that much damage. You see the big bomb come here as well. Big one just smashes him. What do you do as a Thomas Shen in that situation but cry?
Yeah, there's not really much you can in that situation. I think it gets worse in a few seconds as well, because those Muramanas are soon to be complete. Add a bit of extra damage, why not? Baron spawning in under 90 seconds as well. And that might be all she wrote for Order to put a bow on things.
Is it all AD carries that just, like, emotionlessly slaughter everyone with mechanics?
There's something so cold about
There's
it,
a
isn't there?
savagery among AD carries in Oceania, I swear to God.
No reactions, just mechanics.
I was just looking at Puma's camera, I was like, yeah, he's calm. Those hype plays before, he was just the same expression as he is now. A lot of ADs from OSA like this.
Makes it so exciting when you do see them smile.
Yeah, like the Violet pop-off last year, if you remember.
Exactly.
Jeez, that was rare. It was good.
Almost feels like it's a Mamba mentality kind of thing. Why should I be happy? The job's not done.
Back to work. 15-minute win, back to work, 14 minutes.
Here we go. Heavy looking for it. He's got the boys to back him up. Let's sidestep the Sonic Wave. Nice there from Deja. Buying time for the rest of the team to come on through to try and mount some form of defense here. They don't have any control of their own jungle. The vision is being removed. Same with that tier 2. That's gone. Now knocking on that front door. Looking to try and get some inhibitors. But more so, looking to keep Gravitas locked inside their base. There is the 20-minute mark. All waves pushing. And a TP from Bio down to bot.
Just a quick tangent here as well for the composition of Order. We already spoke about it with a bit of detail why the Zillion pick was so good. One other factor that will go kind of under the radar in its usefulness is that Zillion's passive gives experience to another player on the team, right? Yeah. Corki is probably the most level-reliant champion with this build right now for damage output. Because at level 16, your scaling from the rockets is huge, like 1-to-1 AD ratio before the AP ratio. So it does so much more damage. The big one does more damage base levels as well just by hitting 16. Zillion provides that experience boost, just gave him 14 from it. Accelerating an already ahead Corki, what more do you want?
Well, I mean, as you say, take a look at the scoreboard and you can see that he's 2 levels over his mid lane opponent, 3 levels over the jungle. Raw stats alone, even if there isn't 16 there, it's going to be like what we saw yesterday. One rocket, half your health bars just disappeared.
Jason Corki are on the same screen just seconds ago. We've got double teleports. Kisei's probably going to teleport to bottom, if I'm going to be honest. You've got the Drake to play for, but realistically, if you can bring them all on the same screen, that's what I would do, right? Get this reset off. He's going to be greedy, as he should be. I'd imagine he's close to an item for a wave this far forward with 0 vision. 1,500 gold, I don't know what he currently has, but you'd have to assume he's quite close. And with that reset, might just be a core field. With that reset though, put him on the same screen as the Jace is the point, and that's when the game's impossible for Gravitas. That's what we're after.
Well, both side lanes are hard pressed against them. Gravitas have decided the OS ARAM is what we're after. We know that the game plan here from Order is just to set themselves up, force some vision around one of these major objectives, do the dance, but they can set up first. I mean, how do Gravitas ever walk in without some fancy feats, some flashes, and some maneuvers of their own? I mean, there's another package. And Kisei alone is stepping up as a carry.
He's going to be able to body them all out. You can't Nautilus hook someone that has the package, right? Because you'll actually just end up on top of it taking damage and a Jace poke. The Dragon's free. Baron, you would say, is on the cards, but if I was the order composition, I would be prioritizing throwing spells. Just pretend you're a monkey in a zoo and just fling at them constantly. And
Oh,
you get
it's
kills.
just illegal. It is so illegal. Just out of range there, unless Tomashen pops it. And then there's that. You think you're safe, but you're so not. You burn a flash, a heal, and you're still not safe. You need more mobility in this game, right?
Basically
Because
game.
they can't run away from that one. 22 minutes on the clock. Order say we've had enough.
Settle.
Our comp was built to do this. Out comes the showstopper. A chance for some form of revenge. Can we get ourselves a kill? We got 4 so far. Can we find more? Nope, we cannot. It's a clean ace and another triple for that man on your screen in Puma.
2 easy
What a
kills.
phenomenal game for him.
Yeah, massive from Puma. 2 easy kills from Order. Poke composition online, Skimmy. It's just that easy.
It certainly is. It is our quickest game to date so far. Early on, 23 minutes, and Order have done it again.
You can't ask for more from Order in a game like that, right? You see an aggressive composition on the other side. You see a comp that needs to get a lead. And you heard it from Corporal in the interview prior to the game. No concerns, no issues, just all confidence from Order. And they show exactly why right there. And seeing a poke composition be successful is always a big plus in my books, because it shows the strategic diversity that can come from draft, where a lot of teams tend to be bottlenecked into just team fighting, right, Skimmy? So this is a positive, though they got such such a massive early lead. It's hard to say that the composition was the real reason they won. They were just that far ahead from skirmishing, but nevertheless it worked. It's one more for the repertoire.
I mean, they clearly had a game plan, right? We know that we need to, sacrifice a few of these objectives, but they're definitely not going to be playing passively. They're going to take what they can get. And Mac, they took a lot, very early on, in fact.
They took everything they needed and then some more. And look, I was asking for a convincing win from Order just to show us what they're made of, and I feel like that was very convincing. 23 minutes and we're donezo. It felt like it was done a bit earlier than that. The amount of damage that all of Order was dishing out was absolutely insane. You saw in that last team fight, I was like, oh, maybe this is a turn, but there was just no turn. There was just so much damage getting blitzed onto Gravitas, but they couldn't do too much about it. Yes, there was maybe some different in micro decisions. Like, you're looking at this one, you guys were speaking about it while the cast was live. If the Jung didn't jump into the enemy jungle, then maybe this would have been a different way. Or, if Vixma did have the ult. But, unfortunately, it's ifs and buts, and it's decision making. If they just waited, a couple of seconds longer, the opportunity wouldn't have been there. So they really had to go then and now, and it didn't work out. There was, even in that first engagement down in bot lane that drew first blood, they almost got away with it, Gravitas. They were so close to escaping, and it could have been a whole different ball game. But as you can see, like, the micro mechanics coming out from Puma in this fight was absolutely nuts. I was just watching. I'm glad we got the replay of it while the game was live, because I was like, how the hell did he survive? But, like, you spotted it. You knew he had the heal. You knew he baited it out to get the extra couple of attacks off, extra damage out. And then even just moments like this where he's just threading the needle, and then you've got Kissy coming in just to absolutely clean up with the bomb. There was so much action, and in 23 minutes, like, I want more games like this.
I mean, absolutely. You want more raw aggression coming out of teams like this. You want to see them fighting. I like the killer instinct again from Gravitas, but Order, as we mentioned, have clearly just bested them in the skirmishing front. And it was also just quietly I believe it was a 4th shot crit with fleet footwork that gave Puma extra health with the heal. So there was, those little details you mentioned, Micro Mac, that all adds up very much so to being a counter of a dive. That's my play of the day, even though it was like literally just a 1-for-1, because it was sick.
Yeah, also, you guys mentioned it, or you mentioned it, Rusty, at the start. You were like, well, it's either going to be a Graves or a Jace at top, and you called it. So, good to see that we got that change up, and we got the change of pace from Bio. He had so much free real estate up there throughout that game as well. Just the amount of times where Gravitas had to rotate to have a chance in those team fights, and then Bio was like, look, I'm just gonna waltz down top lane. It was beautiful.
He literally just walked into lane. The set went mid to cover the Akali roaming, took the turret, and the game was over, bro. Like, what a life to be Bio Panther in a game like that. It's so good.
Just didn't really have to leave, and when he did, he was just sniping over the Baron pit, just getting kills. So, doing everything. We asked for him to have a bit more aggression today, and he certainly had it in calculated amounts as well. So wasn't overextending, wasn't going too crazy, was doing just enough and playing like the Biopanther we saw last year. So that was great, and it's also great to welcome Kitty back to the desk because she has someone down on the side lanes to have a quick chat to.
Yeah, so I just grabbed the carry from last game, Puma, and he's on the side waiting. Hello, Puma. Congrats on the clean dub and the early game triple.
Thank you.
So obviously you've decided to stay with Order for a second year, and you've played with Beats for 2 years in a row. What has Corporal joining the roster, any difference made? Like,
I mean, there is a huge difference. I wouldn't say the skill level is too different, but like playing with someone for 2 years, I even had the coaches for the same 2 years, so I sort of just needed a change, and I think Corporal was a good addition to this team.
yeah, so we also have Violet leaving OCE. Does that mean there's any competition left in OCE in the ADC role, or could you be an upcoming Ultraviolet yourself?
I think this year I'm working a lot harder than I have in the past 2 years. I think Raze is probably the best. I mean, I versed him yesterday, but he didn't really impress me as much as I thought, but he still is a good player that I know. So, I don't know, maybe I'm the next Violet, who knows.
I mean, it's always nice to have some confidence, and hard work always plays off. Once again, thank you for your interview, and congrats on the win.
Thank you, Kitty. Bye-bye.
Always good to hear from the players. And Puma, look, maybe he is going to be the next Ultraviolet because there is that little bit of space, although I wouldn't say we're going too dry in the ADC department. We have a whole lot of strong bot lanes going. I know we mentioned it earlier where it is sort of the mid-jungle. That is the strong point for a lot of the teams, but like you're looking at your Raze, you're looking at your Praedyth, you're looking at your Puma, there is still a whole lot of talent down in that bot lane, Skimmy.
Yeah, it's just so hard to really conjure up a conversation as to who would be the best anymore. I love the confidence, though, from Puma to say, well, maybe I am. I mean, just clip that, spam that on Order's social media, put it on those LCO meme pages, and we'll just check in 6 months' time and see how it aged.
Okay, well, guess what? We have a player of the game for game number 1. We usually have him for every single game. And today, for the first game of the evening, it's your boy Kisei on the mid lane, 505. Not dropping a death, and he was pretty mobile, getting pretty up in the action, 55% kill participation, pretty decent damage share as well as pretty decent gold share as well. He did with that first strike. I'm not too sure how much gold he got from it. Well, I can check that during the break, but yeah, Kisei, he had a pretty good day at the office, didn't he, Rusty?
Yeah, he did. He had clean performance is the best way to explain it overall. He did his job and then some. There was the one gank in mid where he was at risk of dying. There was the greedy push in top lane where he was 400 gold over a core field just to crash the wave in. But like those are, they're the 1%ers that he didn't get punished on in the end because he just had a solid game overall, 0 deaths, 505. You can't ask for more from the mid laner.
Definitely couldn't ask for too much more. What about you, Kitty? Anything to say about our player of the game?
Well, Kisei picked out the Corki again, which seems to be a very popular pick in competitive. And with the early lead they got, it wasn't a surprise that obviously Kisei popped off on Corki.
Yeah, he had a very good game. So let's see if he can get his hands on Corki a little bit more. We have a whole bunch of games, I think 19 more games for Order to play before we jump into playoffs as well. Now, before we jump into the break, we do have some more content from you guys at home. So thank you very much for that. Another OP.GG review. Who is it this time? It's Rudaflake dropping his in. So ranked solo, bronze 4. Skimmy, I'm going to throw this to you. It looks like he's a bit of an ARAM gremlin as well.
Well, he's one of my own people then. ARAM, love to see it. 16-3 on the old Zeri. A bit of a smurf. I'm liking what I'm seeing there. I've seen some very ridiculous clips with that champion just running around at speeds unheard of. Almost like Earth level speeds. No, it's awesome. I mean, we just saw a gym performance. You're clearly getting all the dubs. You've cropped off that defeat. Love that. Forget about the past. Focus on the future.
Now, Kitty, looks like I'm seeing a lot of supports over towards that season 2022. So maybe he's a support main as well. Any tips for him?
So my tip for support mains, especially enchanters, is that reduce your death rate, because enchanters aren't the front line. The longer they live, they get to late game a lot easier. So it was also the first tip I learned from the game. My friend told me, hey, you see on op.gg, get a green KDA so you can do better. Just aim for that. And I was like, oh, okay. And now I have yellow KDA, so look how I've done.
Yellow KDA is a pog.
Very cool. Now we have one more op.gg review before we jump on into the break, because we've got time to fill. That game went pretty quickly in 23 minutes. Oh, it's your boy Daran Taris coming in clutch with a silver 1 op.gg. A couple of norms in there, mostly ranked solos, and again, I believe he was the one that played a whole bunch of Urgot last season, right, Rusty?
Hey, 0 control wards in a ranked game.
Hey.
5-1 and 3.
How are you supposed to survive?
How are you 28 minutes into a game with a Doran shield and no control wards? Next. I want to talk about it.
We're done here. We're done. All right, fix your stuff, Dar, and hopefully we can check in with your op.gg.
Less memes, more wards, mate.
later on in the split and see if you've taken those beautiful points of knowledge on board. Now, of course, we do have a second game to get to today. It's going to be Chiefs and Mammoth. But to get there, we've got to go to another break. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go too far. On the other side of the break, we got this banger matchup coming through.
Games that have already been an improvement. Something has to change. Here we go.
Depth charge goes out, locked in place here with the zap afterwards. Chrono Shift comes out nice and early, going to Gale Force in for the execute. Now 1v4 situation, flash away underneath the tower. Thomas Shen connects. Oh, baited by the summoner here. He turns around and gets the kill. Trankroc is there. He's lived a little bit too long. He's somehow defied death when it really should not have happened. He's found himself a double kill from the grave. Kevy comes in and plays Janitor like he did last night. And they are showing the class.
Someday the sun is coming again.